So we are reading Zero Limits by Joe Vitale and Dr. Hugh Lin. We are on chapter 5, What Exceptions, page number 41 of the book and page number 39 of the PDF.
What exceptions? I am the story of what you think you see. Byron Kating, all war belongs on paper.
So what does this mean? Okay, he says, I am the story of what you think you see. So what does this imply? That we are creating our reality through the process of our perceptions. So whatever I am perceiving about you, that is what I see. And what you are perceiving about me is what you see. But what is real may be something totally different. So the story that you are connecting with is dependent on your perception. So what does this imply? That we are creating our own reality through the process of our perceptions.
The weekend event was deeper than I ever expected. Dr. Hugh Lin explained that everything you seek and everything you experience, everything is inside you. If you want to change anything, you do it inside, not outside. The whole idea is total responsibility. There's no one to blame, it's all you.
So what does this mean, right? That you are the creator of everything. So everything is inside you. And if you want to change something in your life, then you have to change your perceptions. The moment you change your perceptions, your reality will also take a shift. It will change. So, and then again, the idea of being responsible, because you are creating your world, through your perceptions. Who is responsible for that creation? So you are responsible. So once you take responsibility for whatever is happening to you and stop the blame game, you get power into your hand. If you are blaming, if you are playing the blame game, then you are powerless. You don't have the power with you, because the power is the guy you are blaming. But the moment you take responsibility, you have the authority with yourself. So that's why it's extremely important that we take responsibility for whatever is happening with us.
But what about when somebody gets raped? A person asked. Or what if there's a car accident? We are not responsible for all that, are we? Have you ever noticed that whenever you have a problem, you are there? He asked. It's all about 100% responsibility for everything, no exceptions. There's no loophole that lets you off the hook for something you don't like. You're responsible for all of it, all.
Jyoti, your mic is constantly getting unmuted. Please just take care.
Sorry, Beer.
Okay, so now what is he saying over here? Whenever anything happens to you, you are present. And if you are not present, does anything happen to you? So very clearly, if you are present, you are responsible. If it comes into your awareness, you are responsible. Why? Because you are perceiving it. So you become responsible. And there are no exceptions. If you are perceiving it, and we are saying on the other side that we are the creators of our reality. Now, if we are the creators of our reality, then we are 100% responsible for that creation. And there can be no exceptions. It's like that story that Buddha Bhagwan gave people the chicken to cut, and he told them that you cut the chicken where no one is observing you, where no one is observing you. So all of the disciples, they hid somewhere, someone went into the room, someone went into a nala, or someone went into a mountain, or someone went on top of a tree, and they came, cut the chicken and brought it back. There was this one guy who did not cut the chicken. So when Buddha asked him that why didn't you cut the chicken, he said that there was no place where no one was there, because I was there all the time, right? So what does that imply? That whatever you are doing, you are seeing, you are observing it. So when you are observing it, then whatever act you are doing, you are responsible for it. Because कई बार क्या होता है, अपने छुप के करते हैं, we hide and do things when no one is. You see, the way you behave when no one is watching you, that is your true nature. So observe yourself when you are alone. What are you up to? What are you doing? Then you will understand what the meaning of this paragraph is, that we are responsible for everything that happens to us, and we are the creators of our reality, and we have to take responsibility for that.
Even when he worked at the mental hospital and he saw murderers and rapists, he took responsibility. He understood that they were acting from a memory. The only way to do that is by cleaning. This is what he meant when he said he never
You
saw.
missed a line.
Sorry, I'll start again. Even when he worked at the mental hospital and he saw murderers and rapists, he took responsibility. He understood that they were acting from a memory or a program. To help them, he had to remove the memory. The only way to do that is by cleaning. This is what he meant when he said he never saw clients professionally in a therapeutic setting. He looked at their charts. As he did, he silently said to the divine, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. He was doing what he knew to do to help the patients return to a state of zero limits. As Dr. Hewlin did this within himself, the patients healed. Dr. Hewlin explained.
So what does this imply, right? He said he understood that they were acting from a memory or a program. So what was happening with the rapists? They were in a circuit. Okay, they were in a pattern. They were constantly repeating the same thing, because a program tends to repeat itself. Now, if I want to get out of the program, the only way that I can get out of the program is to delete the program. And to delete the program, you use the method of cleaning. So what was he doing? He was connecting to divinity. Like someone here said, I remembered Bill, Reverend Bill, and then I went and sent love energy to that pain or to that vertigo, and it disappeared. So what were you doing? Reverend Bill, maybe just as an example, okay, don't take it perfectly. He is operating at this frequency. We are operating at this frequency. Now, when we remember this frequency, we go into this frequency. Now, the problem that we have in this frequency cannot manifest in this frequency because there's no resonance to it. So when I've raised my frequency level, automatically the problem gets eradicated because it cannot resonate with here. It's resonating here. So when I raised my frequency, the problem got sorted out. So this is another very powerful healing tool that people were yesterday also were sharing, that we go into F10 or we go into F12 and things start moving, things start happening, we heal ourselves. So what are you doing? From the C1 state of consciousness, which is at this state, we are shifting our state of consciousness to here. And then whatever problems we have here cannot manifest over there. They're no longer problems over there. So it can become a very powerful tool of pain management, of healing, of repairing whatever is happening around you, because the problems cannot exist at the new frequency level. So what he says, he silently said to the divine, I love you, I am sorry, please forgive me and thank you. So he's cleaning after going into an altered state of consciousness. And who is he cleaning? He is cleaning himself. He's not cleaning the rapists or the murderers. He's cleaning what is occurring in his field. And as he is cleaning what is occurring in his field, it is automatically cleaning what is happening in the rapists and the murderers, because there's a resonance between what is in his field and what is happening in their field. So once he clears here, it clears up over there also. And once it clears, when there is nothing, like if you're in your hard disk, there's nothing, then you can't access anything. It goes into zero.
Dr. Hewlin explained, simply put, Ho'oponopono means to make right or to rectify an error. Ho means cause in Hawaiian, and Ponopono means perfection. According to the ancient Hawaiians, error arises from thoughts that are tainted by painful memories from the past. Ho'oponopono offers a way to release the energy of these painful thoughts or errors which cause imbalance and disease. In short, Ho'oponopono is simply a problem-solving process, but it's done entirely within yourself.
Okay. So what does this mean? Right? He says, Ho means cause and Pono means perfection. So what are we doing in Ho'oponopono? We are removing the cause which leads to a perfect state. And then he says, error arises from thoughts that are tainted by painful memories. So when we are operating out of memory, we are getting into that amygdala hijack that we talked about, right? Whatever happened to you previously, you reacted or you performed in a certain way in that particular situation. And if there is a similar vibration or a similar situation which crops up, immediately you will go into that same process that you used in the past, which is a part of your memory. Now, if I want to act out of inspiration, then the first thing that I need to do is to remove the memory so that I don't go into a reaction and I respond. The response will come from the inspiration, but the reaction will come from the memory. And most of the memories that you remember, if you really see, how many times do we really focus on the happy memories, the uplifting memories? Most of the time you are remembering the painful stuff. He did this to me. He did that to me. I lost my shirt. I lost my money. Someone robbed me. Someone hurt me. Those are the memories that we are tagging into most of the time. Now, that is where again your awareness comes in as to what are you becoming aware of, and what you're focusing your attention on will automatically become your reality. So what is he saying over here very clearly? That Ho'oponopono allows a way for us to release these painful memories, these painful thoughts which cause the imbalance and disease in our system. So anything that puts you on the left side of the grid is bound to create imbalance and distortion in your field. So it's no point in holding on to anything that puts you on the left side of the grid. It's very, very clear now, as far as I'm concerned.
This new and improved process was created by Morna, the beloved Kahuna, who taught her method to Dr. Hewlin in November 1982. Dr. Hewlin had heard of a miracle worker lecturing at hospitals, colleges, and even the United Nations. He met her, saw her heal his daughter of shingles, and left everything to study with her and learn her simplified healing method. Since Dr. Hewlin was also experiencing difficulties in his marriage at the time, he left his family as well. That's not too unusual. There's a long history of people leaving their families to study with a spiritual teacher. Dr. Hewlin wanted to learn Morna's method. But he didn't instantly accept her odd ways. He signed up for a workshop led by her and walked out after 3 hours. She was talking to spirits and sounded nuts, he said. So I left.
So this brings up an important point, right? Most of the time you will find that when you want to learn something, you have to attach to that person with that higher field. So anyone who knows more than you in a topic that you would like to learn about, you have to attach yourself with the person concerned. Now over here, he left his family. I don't agree with that fully. I think you can be in the family and also do what you need to do. It's not necessary to go to the mountains and sit in a cave to do certain things. But having said that, you have to get your family and the people who are near and dear to you on the same page. You have to sell the idea to them so that they start supporting you in what you are doing. I also understand that it is not an easy task because the family may have a different agenda than your agenda. But I would say that if we can get the family as well as our agenda on the same page, it is always better. Now, also, when we are not in the vibratory frequency of a teacher, the way the teacher is acting or behaving can sound very funny to you. Okay. And you may not understand what the teacher is saying. But as a student, if you want to learn, then you have to let go of your belief system. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to learn from that particular teacher. I'll share one example with you. I was learning. What happened was that we started doing energy field work, and then we found that in our factory there were lots of spirits, right? And we did not have the technology at that time to deal with the spirits. So we had called in someone else and a puja was performed, and that factory was like an albatross around our necks. In fact, it really literally brought us down to the streets at that time. And then when that puja was done, and let me tell you, they made me walk in the month of May all around the factory bare feet and sprinkling water over the entire factory. Now, a person like me who was in a boarding school, I had never walked around bare feet. Even in the house, I used to wear chappals that time and juta inside the house at that time. So you can imagine a person like me walking bare feet and throwing the water. In fact, at that time, my hand got cut from here to here. And while I was sprinkling the water, my hand was bleeding. Ultimately, the guy said the place wanted your blood. Okay. So we didn't know how to do that. Then I located and got in touch with a gentleman who was regularly dealing with this kind of thing. So when I tagged with him to learn how to handle these things, one of the days, you know what happened? We were going in the car together, and suddenly he says, "Open your pant and get out of the car." Now, at that time, you have to really think whether you want to do it or not do it. But if you want to learn from the guru, then you got to do what the guy tells you to do. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to learn, right? So in the beginning, the ways of the guru will seem very odd to you because you're not at that same frequency of vibration. But as you start increasing your vibratory frequency, you will start resonating with what that person is telling you, and then also start understanding as to why that person is telling you that. So we have to have an open mind when we are going into these processes.
He went back a week later, paid the tuition fee again, and tried to sit through another workshop with her. He still couldn't do it. Everything she taught seemed so crazy to his university trained mind that he again walked out of her seminar.
So
I went back.
So if you really see, the point here is that today, whatever we are doing in awareness, if you start talking about it to various people, they'll think you're crazy. Okay. So this is a basic raw fact. Until you're exposed and you have that experience of that thing, people who don't understand and know what we are doing will always think you're crazy. So over here also, Dr. Yulin was thinking that she's crazy.
I went back a third time, and this time I stayed for the entire weekend, he told me. I still thought she was crazy, but something about her spoke to my heart. I stayed with her until her transition in 1992. Morna's self directed inner method worked miracles according to Dr. Hewlin and others. Her prayer somehow erased memories and programs just by saying it. I knew I wanted to learn that liturgy and would not rest until I knew it.
So this is an interesting thing she says. Her prayer somehow erased the memories and programs just by saying it. So what we find that when we are having a program, right, we are running a program, the moment you call it out, the program loses its power over you. So let us say there is a bully in school, okay, and the person is bullying you, bullying you, bullying you. The moment you stand up to the bully will not bully you anymore. Why? Because you've stood up to it, you've called it out, right? This is something that we find even in the biofield tuning, and I find it to be so powerful that we call out what is happening to the person. So what are we doing basically? We are bringing whatever the block is, whatever is creating a problem for the person, and put it in front of the person. So we start acting like the mirror. The same thing, exact same thing used to happen with aura photography. Of course, the camera is gone for repair just now, but the same thing was happening with aura photography. When we took the aura photo of the person, we put the person in front of the person. See, now this is you. Now, as soon as the person sees himself, he has the option to self-rectify, to self-regulate. It's like when we stand in front of the mirror in the morning, we can see that our hair is properly combed or not, right? Now, if you don't stand in front of the mirror, can you comb your hair properly? Yeah, you could do it, but you'll never know whether it is combed properly or not. So she says over here, somehow her prayers erase the memories and programs just by saying it. So what was she doing? She was calling it out.
Morna hinted at her method in an article she wrote for the book, I Am a Winner. I have used the old system since age 2. I have revamped the process, yet it retains the essence of the ancient wisdom. Mabel Katz, in her little book, The Easiest Ways, says Ho'oponopono is a process of forgiveness, repentance, and transformation. Every time we use any of its tools, we are taking 100% responsibility and asking for forgiveness for ourselves. We learn that everything that appears in our lives is only a projection of our program.
So what does this mean over here, right? Is a process of forgiveness, repentance, and then transformation. So when we use the tools, we are taking 100% responsibility. So if you are not aware, you cannot take responsibility. So the first step in any rectification is that you become aware. The second step is accepting it. So taking responsibility. The third step over here, they are saying, is asking for forgiveness. So once you become aware of an issue, you have accepted the issue, and you are willing to transmute, you're willing to transform, you're willing to change the way that you're working it. So you're asking for forgiveness in the sense that you're saying that I understand that the way that I was behaving, the program that I was running was not to my highest good. So I would need to change it. So you are asked, when you ask for forgiveness, you are also asking for help and support to shift that process which was running previously, which was not serving you, to eradicate it and create another program which will start running in your system. So basically, what is it? We learn everything that appears in our life is only a projection of our program. So the program that we are running, the program is what makes us perceive. Now, if I want to change my reality, I need to change the program. So my perception also takes a shift, or it gets transformed.
I wondered how Morna's updated self-identity Ho'oponopono process differed from traditional Ho'oponopono. Dr. Hewlin explained it this way. self-identity through Ho'oponopono. Number 1, problem solving is intrapersonal. Traditional Ho'oponopono, problem solving is interpersonal.
So let's look at this one at a time. Let's look at this one at a time. Problem solving is intrapersonal. That means that whoever is involved in the process is involved in the process. Here, it is interpersonal. It is your own problem.
I think you said it the other way around.
Oh, sorry. I said it the other way. Sorry. It's the other way around. Anyway, just go through the entire thing. Then we'll deal.
Number 2, only you and the I are involved. And in traditional, a senior member mediates the problem solving session with all participants. Then, number 3, only you are physically present. In the traditional, everyone involved in the problem must be physically present. Number 4, repentance to the I. Traditional, each participant is required to repent to each other with the senior member mediating so that participants don't get contentious. Number 5, forgiveness from the I. And traditional, each participant is required to ask forgiveness of each of the other participants.
So very clearly, in this process that Dr. Hewlin and Joe Vitale are professing, it is you are dealing with yourself. But in the original process, you were dealing with the group. You were dealing with others, right? So you are asking for forgiveness from others. Here, we are asking for forgiveness from the higher self, from our true self. That is where we are operating from.
In traditional Ho'oponopono, the senior member trained in dynamics of problem solving is responsible to see that everyone gets a chance to say what each sees as the problem. This is always an area of contention in the traditional Ho'oponopono because each participant sees the problem differently. I have to admit I like the new and improved process as it all happens within the person. You don't need anyone else at all. This makes more sense to me. Since I'm a student of Jungian-based teachers such as best-selling author Debbie Ford, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers, I already understood that the place for change is within you, not the environment or any other person.
So there are many processes. Like one processes that we actually experienced was the landmark process. I don't know how many of you have done it, but in that process, they say that if you're having a problem with anyone or you had an issue with anyone, go and face that person and get it out of the system. Now, most of the time, what happens is when the person calls you up and starts talking to you, certain things and emotions start to crop up and you end up having a bigger fight, which can lead to a bigger jhamela. Over here, what is happening? You're not needing to deal with that other person. You can clear your field yourself. And once you clear your field, the field of the other person is automatically bound to clear up. Or that person will move out of your system because you've raised your vibratory frequency and that person doesn't vibrate at that frequency. So it really doesn't matter if that person is in your life or not in your life. Okay. Now, the book, The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. We, in fact, when we were doing the book reading previously in the physical environment, after reading Ho'oponopono, we actually read Dark Side of the Light Chasers. Now, one thing came out very clearly, and this is something that we've been repeating all the time in awareness. that whatever you perceive, there is a resonance in you for that particular thing. Otherwise, you would not be perceiving it. Now, if someone is not in resonance with something, that means that is not in resonance, you will not perceive it. So he says here, I already understood that the place for change is within you, not in the environment or in any other person. So if I change my resonant frequency, automatically my perception and my reality is going to change. So we have to again take responsibility. Whatever I am perceiving is in my field. That is the reason why I'm feeling it. So I cannot blame anyone else.
Along with the updated Ho'oponopono process, Dr. Hewlin continued, Morna was guided to include the three parts of the self, which are the key to self-identity. These three parts, which exist in every molecule of reality, are called the Unhipili, child subconscious, and Uhane, mother conscious, and the Omkwa, father superconscious. When this inner family is in alignment, a person is in rhythm with the divinity. With this balance, life begins to flow. Thus, Ho'oponopono helps restore balance in the individual first and then in all of creation.
So what does this imply now? This guy, this is the small mind, the baby conscious. Okay. This guy, you can call the mother consciousness,
Who's the
because
gin
this,
and who's the tonic?
you call this guy the small conscious, right? The child. This guy you can call the mother child, because this guy depends on this guy. But this person depends on the whole. So you are connected. Now, when we look at it from the brainwave pattern perspective, this guy would be the beta state. Then you have a bridge, which is the alpha. Then you have the theta state. And then you have the delta state, which is universal consciousness. So if all three are tuned, there is a balance between all of them. There's a balance between the brainwave patterns and frequencies. Automatically, everything is in alignment. But if this guy wants to do this, and this guy is pushing to do that, and that guy wants something else, then everything is in imbalance. So when we start getting aligned, we start getting into the flow, then all of them start to center, and we find that space of centering. And when we operate from that center, then everything starts to manifest, right? In biogeometry, they say that every shape has a center, and in that center is sacred energy. It is the unmanifested part that creates all manifestation. So when we can connect to the center, automatically everything starts to streamline and get balanced.
He went on to explain more about this amazing process. Ho'oponopono is really very simple. For the ancient Hawaiians, all problems begin as thought. But having a thought is not the problem. So what's the problem? The problem is that all our thoughts are imbued with painful memories. Memories of persons, places, or things.
So again, what is it that we focus on? What is it that we notice? If we start becoming aware of what we are noticing, let me tell you, 90% of your issue is going to get taken care of. And that's the beauty of the resilience grid, the left side and the right side. If you start observing yourself, people who have not been doing this stuff, and you ask them to plot a graph on the resilience grid as to where they are, you will find that most people are operating from the left side of the grid. So what are we focusing on? We are focusing on the painful memories. And how can memories be created? Time, place, person. So thing, person, and places. Okay. So these are the ways in which we keep the memories alive, the pain alive, right? Khundas leke baitha hai, for decades. I mean, between families, I've seen for decades they are fighting with each other. And then it runs into generations. We've seen this in movies, etc. But there are clans in the villages and all that where they are having fights for generations. So what are they stuck with? They are stuck totally with the painful memory. And even us, you will find that that fellow told me this like this. He behaved like this with me. And we are carrying that stuff with us all the time. We need to get rid of it. And that is, you see, with these painful memories is where all the jhamela starts in our life.
The intellect working alone can't solve these problems because the intellect only manages. Managing things is no way to solve problems. You want to let them go. When you do Ho'oponopono, what happens is that the divinity takes the painful thought and neutralizes or purifies it. You don't purify the person, place, or thing. So the first stage of Ho'oponopono is the purification of that energy.
So over here, you missed one line. You neutralize the energy. You associate with that person, place, or thing. So whenever we are getting upset, okay, we attempt to manage it. But managing is not the solution. You need to rub it out of your system. You need to let it go. So we are constantly saying that anything that brings you on the left side of the grid, drop it. It's not worth carrying. It's not worth thinking about it. It's not worth even associating with it. So this is what is exactly being said over here, right? Now, whenever you find yourself on the left side of the grid, we keep saying that find a strategy that will take you into the right side of the grid. So he says over here, what is happening here is that divinity takes the painful thought and neutralizes or purifies it. So what is happening here? We are changing our perspective, or we are changing or putting a process in place which will create the shift for us to go from the left side of the grid to the right side of the grid. And when that happens, automatically the thing with that painful memory gets automatically dropped. Okay, so what is saying here? So you neutralize the energy that you associate with the person, place, or thing. Okay, so it gets totally eradicated.
Now, something wonderful happens. Not only does that energy get neutralized, it also gets released. So there's a brand new slate. Buddhists call it the void. The final step is that you allow the divinity to come in and fill the void with light.
So this is again beautiful. This is something that we are noticing and seeing in biofield tuning also, right? Now, it has been scientifically proved that all of us are constantly emitting light. They've done experiments where they put people in a totally dark environment and they have equipment which can actually sense the light radiations in that place. It's totally pitch dark. Everything is sealed, right? And it has been noticed that we are constantly emitting biophotons from our system. Now, the more the entropy in a system, entropy means when something is entropy, the definition of entropy is that everything is going towards ultimate destruction. Or the more disorganization in a system, the more the entropy. Okay. Now, what does this imply? Like if you are angry, you're going to radiate more biophotons out of your system. And that energy doesn't get released. It gets stuck in your biofield and acts like a rock in your field. Now that energy is stuck over there. So what he's saying over here, that now something beautiful happens. Not only does the energy get neutralized, it also gets released. So that stuck energy comes back into our system for our system to be able to use that energy. Now, this guy who's hanging in our system over here is the result of a memory. Now, when the memory gets eradicated, it creates space for something new to manifest. And when he talks about the This is like focus 15. The void, what the Buddhists talk about, is literally like focus 15, where everything exists and nothing exists at the same time. Most people, when they experience focus 15 for the first time, will see black. There is nothing over there. Why? Because we don't have the concept of perceiving in that field of consciousness. And then as the game plays out, you start perceiving things in that void. So you go into a state of ultimate ability to create. So you go into the center, right? And then from there, manifestation can start taking place.
To do Ho'oponopono, you don't have to know what the problem or error is. All you have to do is notice any problem you are experiencing physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever. Once you notice, your responsibility is to immediately begin to clean, to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me.
So what does this imply, right? It is again coming down to your awareness. What are you noticing? So as soon as you program yourself to notice any imbalance, am I getting wavered? Am I losing my center? The moment you find that you're losing your center, immediately put a strategy in place to come back into the center. So over here, the strategy is to start cleaning yourself, to get rid of that imbalance. It may be a bodily sensation, it could be a pain, it could be a tension, it could be an emotional reaction, it could be whatever. Anything that is shifting you out of your system, out of your balance, out of your equanimity and equilibrium, you need to come back into equanimity and equilibrium. So again, the more tools you have to be able to do that, the better off you are. Of course, over here, naturally, we are talking about Ho'oponopono, but the same thing can happen. And as yesterday, so many people were sharing, right? You can use the reball, you can use heart focus breathing, you can go to F10, you can use the one breath technique, you can go to F12, you can go to F15, you can go to F21, you can go to your secret place, you can go to your private place, right? That you've created in that etheric environment. You can do resonant tuning. You can use your energy conversion box. There's so many tools that we've learned over the period to apply so that we can come back into our equanimity. We can come back to our center.
As I researched Morna, even finding DVDs of interviews with her, I finally found the prayer she would say to heal people, whether she saw them or not. The liturgy, she said, went like this: Divine Creator, Father, Mother, Son as one. If I, my family, relatives, and ancestors have offended you, your family, relatives, and ancestors, in thoughts, words, deeds, and actions, from the beginning of our creation to the present, we ask your forgiveness. Let this cleanse, purify, release, cut all the negative memories, blocks, energies, and vibrations, and transmute these unwanted energies to pure light. And it is done.
So this is very much like the gateway affirmation, right? So you're making a declaration. I, my family members, ancestors, right? We are making a declaration. And then you're saying that if I have offended you, so he's setting the intent. If we have offended you in any way, we would like to have your forgiveness. And then what is the intent? Again, is to clarify, and release all these negative things that are holding me down, creating a problem in my life, to get it eradicated. So you're asking for help, you're setting an intent, and you're making a declaration. So again, this is like the gateway affirmation. And of course, everything has to be done with a feeling of gratitude. So when we start doing that, we actually start releasing the stuff that is holding us back. We start connecting or going towards that freedom. So Robert Monroe always talked, why are we here? We are here to develop escape velocity. Nagarji keeps saying, why are we here? भागो और क्या बोलते हैं उसको, छोड़ो और भागो, ऐसे ही कुछ बोलते हैं. We are
जागो.
here, jago or bhago. He keeps saying jago or bhago. So what does that mean? Become aware and release it. Get rid of all this. So ultimately, why are we here? We are here to understand what we are and to transcend whatever attachments we have, which are holding us back over here. So any kind of memories, any kind of deeds that we have done, which are holding us back, we need to release it. So it is taking the action, but with detachment. So be attached, but with detachment.
I wasn't sure how this unlocked the healing within someone, but I could see that it was based on forgiveness. Apparently, Morna and now Dr. Hewlin felt that by asking for forgiveness, we cleared the path for healing to be manifest. What was blocking our well-being was nothing more than lack of love. Forgiveness opened the door to allow it back in.
So again, the two primordial emotions, fear and love. Whenever we are feeling guilty, whenever there is any imbalance, we are operating out of fear. Whenever there is balance, we are operating out of love. And the most important thing is to understand that we are operating out of fear. And if we have done what we perceive as done something wrong, asking for forgiveness is the tool to shift from fear to love. And the moment we start doing that, our reality starts to automatically shift. We'll have to stop here today.